Joyce at 34 by Joyce Chopra and To Be a Woman by Jill Craigie both advocate for women's desire and right to go beyond the confines of domestic roles. However, it is the space created within Chopra's film for unscripted discourse between women that lends the film a more intimate and universal resonance in contrast to the more structured, broadly framed approach of Craigie's film. Joyce at 34 is an autobiographical first-person documentary that follows filmmaker Joyce Chopra as she navigates the complexities of new motherhood while balancing her passion and career as a filmmaker. As she reflects in her memoir, Lady Director, she made the film to explore the conflicts that would arise as she continued her life as a working woman while being a working mother. Most of the film, and primarily its conversational sequences, is shot in cinema verite style, borrowing aspects of direct cinema. It allows the viewer to feel as though they're witnessing unfiltered conversation. In contrast, To Be a Woman by Jill Craigie is a campaigning film for equal pay, critiquing the expectation that women must return to domestic roles in post-war British society. Lesage, on describing the conventions of early feminist documentary in the West, claims that they used a simple format to present to audiences a picture of ordinary details of women's lives, their thoughts, told directly by the protagonist to the camera. To Be a Woman exemplifies this documentary form and uses direct address to articulate plain, urgent demands. The film is mainly composed of reenactments and archival footage, which is pieced together to construct a complete picture of women's struggles in 1950s Britain. Craigie often uses we to emphasize solidarity and invite other women to find resonance in their shared experience.
But on these questions of women, we present a united front.
Both films show intergenerational exchanges that reflect shifting ideas around motherhood and work. One of the most poignant moments in Joyce at 34 is a dinner table conversation between Joyce's mother and her teacher friends.
I began to teach because it was the only feasible position for a girl of my time. Home, I'm bored, and I'm not happy, and that's not good for him. If I go to work, I come home tired, and I don't have any time for him, and that's not good. That's not good either. Whatever we do is wrong.
As they talk candidly about guilt, compromise, and a lack of fulfillment, Chopra reflects on how the presence of the camera uniquely enabled this conversation to happen at all. She says, as hard as it is to believe now, it seems that in all these years that they had eaten lunch together in the teacher's lunchroom, the women had never talked about it. This moment surpasses the sole purpose of just documentation. It becomes an opportunity to witness a site of communal reflection and emotional release. In line with Michael Renaud's reading of Cinema Verite, he quotes Jean Roche in describing the camera as a psychoanalytical stimulant which lets people do things they wouldn't otherwise do. Here, filming actively facilitated healing and connection. As Chopra says, all 10 of them kept on talking excitedly well after we had turned off the camera. Alternatively, Jill Craigie utilizes contrasting caricatured or exaggerated representations of women of different eras to frame the intergenerational dialogue around domesticity and labor. She couples the idea of the old British woman with traditional, outdated ideals of femininity presented through the voice of a male narrator, or advocated for by the male voice.
Isn't she more representative of the average woman?
This is sharply juxtaposed with the voice of a female narrator who actively challenges these outdated notions.
And if anyone dares to resurrect that old cliche, women's place is in the home, let them contemplate the sight of millions of women out of the home.
So there is a conversation, but it is entirely scripted. Each point made by the male narrator is preemptively constructed to be dismantled. While Craigie critiques commonly circulating harmful ideologies, the enlightened or modern woman is also rather generalized. She appears both at the beginning and the end of the film, physically entering a non-domestic building and symbolically entering the space of modern thought and professional life in contrast to the visuals of a home. By casting the male narrator, and by extension the traditional woman, with such a strong antagonistic force, Craigie inadvertently others domesticity itself. Rather than fostering dialogue between women of different opinions and social standings, the film relegates the domestic woman to a static and regressive identity, leaving little room for nuance or complexity. In Joyce at 34, the women's conversation takes place in a dining room, transforming a place of domesticity into a space of political awakening. To Be a Woman does feature some visuals of a collective of women implied to share and arrive at a very similar sense of awareness. Although we see shots of women gathered together and seemingly engaged, this togetherness feels rather imposed. The film cuts from face to face, but their voices are absent and a single voiceover speaks for all of them.
We, who represent all political parties and millions of women, civil servants, engineers...
By comparison, the dining room conversation in Joyce at 34 immerses us in the space, placing us at eye level, weaving between seats at the table. There is a synchronous sound, and we are taken along their journey of awareness. As Lesage argues, one hallmark of the feminist film in the 1970s is the belief in and understanding in the power of the knowledge that is arrived at collectively. This is exactly what is happening, and as Chopra says in her book, Claudia and I knew, even as we were filming, that we were witnessing their consciousness rising. While To Be a Woman addresses the inability to work and discrimination in a direct, structural way,
Have some of those women in there who are getting the rate for the job forgotten the cause of women?
Joyce at 34 explores similar struggles through more intimate generational storytelling.
My mother to have a career in music. She studied. She dreamt of being a concert pianist, but she felt she wasn't good enough. Grandmother wanted very badly for my mother to have a real profession. My mother taught school for 25 years.
That desire to work, to be fulfilled outside of the home, that Chopra's mother's experience bleeds into Chopra's own narrative. This is a key point in the conversation.
Aren't really liberated if you walk around with feelings of guilt. And this is, I think, what many of us, right? I think that you're truly liberated if you can carry on a career and feel that you're doing the right thing for yourself and your children.
Here, she utilizes the L cut in editing, and we see Chopra holding her baby as the woman is still talking, visually tying this intergenerational dialogue or aspiration to the embodied present. As Gurnolzik says, Joyce at 34 explicitly embraces the interconnected self rather than the autonomous individual. Chopra's advocacy for herself is an automatic advocacy for her mothers, and by laying out that collective desire, a quiet universality emerges. In terms of whose voice reigns To Be a Woman, it is almost entirely Craigies as the writer. Aside from brief archival footage, the film lacks genuine multiplicity. The absence of on-screen discourse and discovery feels particularly absent because the film presents itself as inclusive, as a universal story for all women. In Joyce at 34, Chopra's unique positioning as being subject in and subject of, as well as having a trustworthy relationship with camera person Claudia Well, allows for active, honest discourse, even beyond the visual frame of the camera. Chopra never claims to speak for every woman, yet the film's openness to complexity, the space created for messy conversation, interruptions, open disagreement, and a careful dealing of intergenerational aspiration makes it feel all the more universal.